Hi guys, so I hope you know where to come. I'm sure you do. For those of you that are new, if you are on the other broadcast, you will know to just click the link at the top. So I shall wait for you guys to come on here. I'm sure you'll be here in a mo. Apologies for the lateness. I've had a few issues. It happens sometimes. It is what it is. Hi Kaza, how are you doing? Hi Ifwa, thank you guys for joining. I do apologise. As I said, this is showbiz, you know. Sometimes things happen and you don't have any control over the technical things that are going on. It's a little bit of a pain, but you know, it is what it is. Hi Ayesha, how are you? Hi Shirley Ann. Hi Kathy, lovely to have you back. I know last week was your first time on watching Speak With Dilys, so that's great. And yes, it is I don't know why a notification is coming up for my own thing. That's a bit weird. But yes, guys, how are you this evening? Yes, I'm keeping very well, very, very well. It's not a dress, actually. This is a boob tube, and this has been designed by an excellent designer and a very good friend of mine called Jackie Johnson. So there are going to be details of where you can get these very, very versatile collars that you can wear them with like long sleeve collarless shirts, and once you stick this on top, it really looks gorgeous. You know me, I'm a little bit out there, so I decided to just wear it a little bit differently. So yeah, so it's really lovely. Just tie it in a bow. I hope I'm not going to undo it. And you can team it with different things. She's got some beautiful cuffs as well, but as I'm not wearing anything with sleeves, I can't show you, but I will be showing off some of Jackie's designs, and she has very kindly become one of the sponsors for Speak With Dilys. So I'm very, very excited about that collaboration with Jackie Johnson. Her details I will be sharing with you. So this is, like I said, it's a collar. You can wear it in many different ways. And I have decided to wear it with a boob tube because I want you to see the beauty of it. So there you go. This is what it looks like. And this is how I have decided to wear it this evening. You can obviously wear it, you know, differently. It's not just for, you know, boob tubes. Anyway, so welcome to another edition of Speak With Dilys. No, well, actually, listen, if you're a guy and you want one of these collars, go for it. You know, this is 2021. Men wear, you know, women's clothing, makeup, high heels, you name it. It's all good. So if that floats your boat, let me not be the one to sink it. Okie dokie. So let me welcome Julia Roberts. Thank you for being here. Anita, thank you very, very much. Yes, this discussion is going to be interesting. Hi, Nadia from America. She is my big sister. Guys, share the video. Don't be selfish. Don't be mean. Don't keep this wonderful discussion to yourself. So Speak With Dilys. Why Speak With Dilys? So I put this show together, and I run through this very briefly every week. I put this show together so that we can have conversations that people don't normally like to have. You know, the kind of conversations that is a bit of a whisper, but we don't really want to talk about it publicly, you know? And hi, Charlene, how are you doing? Charlene, it's so lovely to have you on here. And hi, Yomi, as well. And guys, if you haven't watched me before, I will break and I will welcome people because I appreciate people's times. It's a Sunday evening, you know, you could be doing a whole load of other things, but you're here with me and I do appreciate it. Thank you, Alvin, for joining as well. And Temi Tokwe, thank you for joining. I pronounced that really well, didn't I? Temi Tokwe. Yeah, I might be Ghanaian, but you know what? I've got the whole Niger thing going on there. I can pronounce your names pretty good. Yomi, stop staring at me with those eyes. It's scary. Thank you, Marsha, for joining as well. So someone says I'm frozen. I hope not. I actually forgot to go onto my my 3G. If I freeze again, guys, I'm going to switch over and come back, because it will be a whole lot easier than, you know, because it's really annoying delivering this and it freezing. So if it happens again, can someone please just tell me in the comments and I will have a look. Okay, so Speak With Dilys put together so that we can have conversations that we wouldn't normally have. It's talking about, you know, people that matter, things that count, information that needs to be heard. Because I do believe that there's a lot of information out there, depending on the kind of background, religious affiliation and what have you, that we don't have certain conversations that we should have. Thank you, Yummy. Apparently I'm not frozen over this. I'm like this. So that's really good. Brilliant. Right. So that's the reason why I've put together this show. This week's show was inspired by a few things going around on social media about men that had fathered children, or men that thought they had fathered children that were not actually their own. And I thought this is very, very interesting, because for me, it throws up, as usual, so many different elements to that issue. And of course, I will be going into each and every one of them in intricate detail. So I'm just going to read to you very, very briefly. It's nothing, let me just change the font on this. Just the reason, or the description for those of you that didn't get this, because what I've noticed is, depending on who you are and whether you follow some of my stuff or not, you don't always get all the information. So you might just think, oh, you know, what is this about? So I'm going to just read to you what I've put here. So, from requiring proof of paternity for visa applications, and I'll give you a brief explanation about that. So in Ghana, for example, and I know it's the same in Nigeria and other African countries, and it may be in other countries as well, I don't know. But when you have, let's say, for example, a guy has gone off to the States and, you know, he's left his family behind and he's now settled, you know, he's got the work thing going on and the finances are all in place. So he now wants to bring his family over. In order for the embassy to grant those visas, there is a requirement for the children that this person claims to be their own to take a DNA test. You'd think it was pretty straightforward. Well, not so. So what sometimes happens is those DNA tests are done and the man finds out that the kids, or a child within the family that he thought was his, ain't his kid. Okay? So that is one of the revelations that has come up. Okay? So I'm going to just read this and we'll go into it a bit more. Okay. So from requiring proof of paternity for visa applications to agreed conspiracies to conceal paternity to protect infertile men, the issue of DNA testing has become a point of interest, contention, and fear amongst many. So again, I can only speak on certain topics from an African perspective. Some topics, you know, born and raised in England, so I am privy to other things as well. However, let me just explain something about what I just read. So there are times within certain African cultures, don't know if this happens anywhere else, where the man is infertile. And because he is infertile and he doesn't want not to be seen to be a man. I mean, it's all right for us women not to be able to have kids. You know, we're called barren and, you know, you're not really a woman. You know, it's all right for us to face that disgrace. But there are times where the man can't have kids. And he asks his wife to go and get pregnant by somebody else and pass the child off as his own. Yes, it happens. It is not unusual. It is not uncommon. It happens, okay? Righty-ho. So I'm just giving you a little bit of info on the different elements of this whole DNA thing. I think number one, and I'm going to go into that a bit later, it's not just that the women are hoes and they just have kids with men and they don't know who their dads are, okay? So I'm just trying to just lay the foundation so that we can really get our teeth into this one. Okay, so it is reported that 3 out of 10 men in Nigeria are not the biological fathers of their children. And DNA testing of children is as desired now as a child's need for inoculation. So now what's happening is there has been talk that as soon as a child is born, that the child should be tested to see whether the person who thinks that they're the father is actually the father. That could be very, very tricky for some, but that's what that's what's being suggested, that women should have their kids DNA tested at birth. So from the hospital, like bam, do that little swab thing, and then they test to find out whether the dad is really the father of that child. Tricky. Right. So in America, we have shows like Paternity Court, And I'm sure many of you have watched it, where you have either a man that will bring a woman to court to say, look, that child that you've had, I believe that that child is mine. Or you have a woman that says, holds her hands up and says, look, I slept with 3 men during the time of my ovulation, and I don't really know who the daddy is. I think it's this person, but I can't be sure. And to be sure, I really want to have a paternity test done to ascertain the real paternity of my child. Okay, so some women do try to do the honourable thing, yeah? And let's be frank here. If men could get pregnant, none of you would know who your baby mama is, yeah? So let me just put it out there, because sometimes I do think that we women get a rough deal, but I am always balanced, and we are going to delve into it. Ade says, so even when an infertile dad has given consent? No, of course not. If he's given consent, then obviously he knows that child is not his. But there may be that man out there that suspects, but hold on, I slept with you at that time. I could swear that that child that you're carrying is mine. And that does happen. And I will tell you a real life story that was told to me from the horse's mouth a couple of months ago. So this is just giving you a little bit of a background as to what we're speaking about today. So before we get into it, can I please ask how you all are? If you're feeling good, give me a thumbs up. If you're not feeling great, give me a sad face, but give me something. How are you guys feeling? And are you excited to be here and be talking about this topic? Because I sure as hell am. How are you feeling? I'm only seeing a couple of thumbs up. Are you guys feeling that bad? Chi Ever, thank you for joining. Jamalik, I don't believe that you've been on here before, so lovely to have you. Cornelia, thank you for joining. Vivian, Sophie, Ajwa Prempe, Frida, it's really lovely to have you guys on here. I appreciate you very much. Theodora and Dora, Johnny, Leah, Close, I can't pronounce your surname, but welcome anyway. And Rita, and Ogu Enika, thank you for joining. As I said, I really do like to welcome people when they come on this show, because you're spending your time to be here. Kathy, I am so glad that you could make it. Charlene says, apparently most firstborns are not their father's kids. Nadia says, feeling great, babes. Excellent. Elizabeth, thank you so much, gorgeous girl, for joining. And Blessed Franklina. And Temi Tokwe says, feeling great. Isaac has joined as well. Thank you. And Alison as well. Okay, guys, so I've done my my hellos and thank yous. Kakra as well, thank you for joining. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. And, you know, I want to kind of take it apart a little bit and debunk some myths. I was involved in a conversation yesterday, albeit quite brief. There was this idea that a woman always knows who the father of her child is. No, she doesn't. The only time a woman will definitely know who the father of her child is, for definite, as in no doubt, is when, let's say, for example, she's one ethnicity, has slept with, let's say, for example, 2 men within that ovulation window of where she can get pregnant. And during that period, she slept with 1 black guy and 1 white guy. In such a case, when she has the baby, it'll be pretty damn obvious who that child belongs to. But again, let's debunk some of these myths, because I think when we educate ourselves and we come away from these old wives' tales, it helps us to be able to tackle issues from an informed perspective and something with just some common sense. Do you know that twins can have 2 different fathers? And if you don't believe me, you can go and research it. Twins can have 2 different fathers. If a woman sleeps with 2 men during that ovulation period and they fertilize 2 different eggs, I can't go into the real technicalities because I'm not a doctor, they can actually be 2 different fathers for a set of twins. So obviously they're not identical twins. So just so that you know that. And the reason why I'm pointing that out is that if 2 men can be the fathers of a set of twins, how then can you say that a woman definitely knows who the father of her children are? The only time she can know that is if she only had sex with one man during a set period. That is the only time she can know that. If she is sleeping with two men that are from the same ethnicity or look slightly alike, or even if they look whatever, but the child comes out looking exactly like the mother, she is not going to know for definite who her child's father is. So let's debunk that, okay? For that reason, there are times where a woman will just decide who her child's father is. What do I mean by that? Women have an inherent need and desire to be taken care of. And because of that need and desire, even if they are ready to deny themselves of being taken care of, once they become pregnant or we become pregnant, our whole desire is to protect and provide for our children. So if we have slept with two men, one's a deadbeat and one is responsible, who do you think the woman is going to go for? She's going to go for the responsible guy. Can you blame her? Not for me to judge, you be the judge of that. I don't really do a lot of judgment on this show. I just put the information out there. You make up your own mind, you go away, you think about it, you discuss it, and you come to your own conclusions. But a woman will unless she is in love with the deadbeat guy and she wants him, 9 times out of 10, she will affiliate herself and that pregnancy to the person that she thinks will take care of her and her child. That is what normally happens. Let me read a couple of comments. So Anita Agri says, yes, we have watched a show about twins being fathered by 2 different men. Yeah. See, I don't lie, you know. I do my research before I come on here. I do my research. Beverly says, very true. Let me see what other comments are on here. Alison says, true, she would not know, hence fraternity twins. Thank you. Who else? Love your outfit, Dilys. Thank you very much. And let me just speak about this again. So this has been designed by Jackie Johnson. It's a lovely collar. Oops, I think my little bow's come out. It's a lovely collar, and you can wear it with an actual shirt with sleeves. Some of them come with cuffs as well. I decided to wear mine like this. So let me just stand up a little bit, if you can see. I don't know if you can see, and you know, it's good I actually have bottoms on because I'm actually standing up, because normally you can't tell that I'm in my pajama bottoms sometimes when I do this show. So that's something for you to, this chair is so bouncy. Right, so that's something for you to know, that not always fully dressed. But anyway, yes, so let me just read some more of your comments. And he says, first I heard about this from Lola Shonieri's The Secret Wives of Baba Shegi's, yeah. And I think what Anita is referring to is a part where I said that some men will allow their wives to go and get pregnant by other men because they are infertile and they don't want to live with the embarrassment of being a man that shoots blanks. And I said, this is where we see that, you know, we women get a really rough deal, but it's okay for us to be classed as barren when we have fertility issues. And I think, and understand the women in these situations, because depending on where you're coming from, some of these women agree to do that because, as I said, they will be the ones to be blamed for the infertility. You know, 9 times out of 10, when a couple can't have children, oh, the woman can't have kids. Very rarely is the man looked at as being the issue. So Alison says, more tricky because some men will adopt the child so they don't feel infertile or manly enough. Well, yeah. As we just said, absolutely correct. Okie smoky. Beverly says, can you give details for the collar, please? Absolutely, I will. So what I will do is I will put the description of where you can get this from Jackie Johnson. Her name is spelled Jacqui, Johnson, as in Johnson & Johnson's baby powder, you know, what you put in your baby's bottom and makes them smell all nice and fresh. So I will put her in the comment box and I'll find a link for her so that you can contact her for these. And I will be wearing this in, you know, different ways as well in subsequent weeks so that you can get an idea that it's not just, you know, to wear with something sleeveless. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of background on why some women may not be honest about who has fathered their children. I mean, I came across a case recently where I was told that the reason why when they got pregnant, they didn't tell the father of the child was because he didn't fit the criteria for what she believed to be husband material. And at the time, she was also seeing somebody else who was quite well-to-do and promised to take her abroad. For that reason, she kept the pregnancy secret for not the pregnancy secret. She kept the birth of the child secret for nearly 3 years. I can't go into the story too much because just to protect the person's identity, and I will leave it there. But what I'm saying is, in her case, there was a happy ending because she got back, with the dad, and I'm just going to leave it there. I don't want to give too many details. Okay, so Kathy says, my birth certificate father was not my biological father. My mum never divulged my biological father, kept very secretive about it. DNA test this year gave me the truth. Wow. As a child of this mess, truth set me free. The more truth in this world, the better. That's absolutely amazing, Kathy. And, I'm so glad that you got your truth. And I'm going to come on to that because I'm going to look at this, as I said, from different angles. So we've explored the fact that there are women who will knowingly, in this instance, know who the father of the child is, but say, no, actually, you're the father of the child. There are times where women don't know, and I've spoken about that as well. What about babies that are swapped? Now, you might think that it's really far-fetched. It's not. I like to do my research properly, and there was a story of a lady, of a nurse, I think, in Zambia, who is said to have swapped about 5,000 babies. Fake story, fake news, yeah? So, like I said, it would have made great whatever, that, oh my God, this happened here, it didn't happen, yeah? It may have happened somewhere else, but certainly not in Zambia. That's not the story. Okay, so the other thing to explore is there is a doctor by the name of Dr. Klein. They should have just called him Frankenstein. He fathered, I think it's reported to be about 600 children, give or take a few hundred. But he was the owner of a fertility clinic. So obviously women would go there. Obviously the husbands may or may not have a low sperm count, or for whatever reason having trouble conceiving. And this doctor, instead of inserting, the sperm of their husbands or partners, he was using his own sperm. Okay, so just think about that for a minute. So in such a situation, let's say this woman needed to fly to the States or wherever. Let's say this didn't happen in America. This happened in Africa or Europe somewhere. And this person discovers, maybe taking their child to hospital, that their husband is not the father of their child. And this poor woman would have absolutely no clue. Absolutely none at all. What does such a woman do in a situation like that? Because there is nothing that you can say. I can't think of anything worse, actually. Yes, Kathy says, did he think he was playing God? I absolutely think he was playing God. I think he felt very, very powerful. And for me personally, I think that was an act of rape. Because sex, all those things is about consent. Definitely an assault on these women. Unfortunately, because there was no law, you wouldn't believe this, because no law was broken, he couldn't really be charged with anything. I think he was fined a few $100s. And yet you have these kids all over the States thinking that they're being brought up in homes with their biological fathers, but they're not. They're actually the product of some sick violation. So when we make these statements that a woman always knows who the father of her children is, it's wrong. It's wrong. Medically, it's wrong. Scientifically, it's wrong. And morally, it's wrong. Because sometimes a woman does not know. So I think we need to kind of like cut some people some slack. But these are some of the situations whereby it's a lot deeper than that. It's a lot deeper than a woman just knowing and deciding that, oh, actually, I've slept with 2 men and I fancy this one more. The reasons behind why, as I said before, a woman will make that choice can be quite deep. Unless you're in that situation, for me, it's a difficult one to judge. If you're somebody who has come from abject poverty, or you feel that you have the potential to be somebody, and you find yourself in such a situation, yeah, of course we can get all sanctimonious and say, well, you should have slept with 2 men and had unprotected sex. Hey, I've never been in that situation. I've never felt the desire to sleep with two men at the same time. Hey, everybody's not me and I'm not everybody. Things happen. People do things out of immaturity. People do things under the influence of drinks and drugs. People do things out of that, inherent need and desire to be loved and taken care of. And sometimes, I know there's a song that says, looking for love in all the wrong places, or something like that. I can't remember even the melody. But that song stuck in my head, looking for love in all the wrong places. And women sometimes can be more prone to that than men, where you're giving of yourself in a way because you just want someone to love you. And sometimes it's not, the wisest choices are not being made when you're in that headspace, when you're looking for love and not allowing love to look for you. And things happen, So I think sometimes we do have to be a little bit more open-minded about things. And yes, there are times where women are absolutely culpable. I think it was, is it Lamptey, who was a footballer, Ghanaian footballer. None of his 3 kids were his. None of his 3 children were his. I think he was married to his wife for 20 years. That to me is filth. That one I will judge, because you're just nasty and you're wicked. And you're not just wicked to your husband, but you're wicked to your children. Now, this is the part that I really wanted to get into as well. What made me decide to talk about this was I was actually, again, on social media, and there was a discussion going on about fathers who thought they'd fathered kids and they weren't their children. But what they were saying was, at the end of the day, that the father that was absent is just absent. The one that brought them up is the real father. And I'm like, back up. You don't get to make that statement when you've been raised by who you know to be, for sure, is your biological father. The only people that can determine whether it is necessary for them to go and find out who their biological father is are the ones who are directly affected by not knowing. So it's not for you to make that judgment and say, oh, well, it doesn't matter. The man that has been raising you, he's your real father. Forget about the one that you don't know. You don't have the right to say that, because different people have different needs. Somebody like me, I would absolutely want to know who my biological father was. 100%. Nothing would make me content, even if I was brought up in a palace with a silver spoon in my mouth, with everything at my disposal, for spiritual, emotional, and medical reasons. I would want to know where I came from. And I do not think, we're grown-ups here, so we're going to come across these stories all the time. I do not think as adults that you should rubbish somebody's need and somebody's desire to know from whence they came. It's very important. If it's important to that person, it's important to them. Wait until you are in that situation before you make that judgment and say, it's not necessary. I'm quite content and happy, knowing that Joe Bloggs is my dad. And even though that, so-and-so is said to be my dad, I'm not interested. You make that decision for yourself. But for other people, they would need to know. For someone like me, 100%, I would want to know. So let me just read some of your comments and see what y'all saying. Okay, so let me see how far back I should go. How are you guys enjoying this so far? Is it making sense? Have I raised any eyebrows yet? Yomi says, oh gosh, you do like to make me read. Right, Yomi says, the ones that allow their wives is fine. It ain't fine, but yeah, I get what you mean. You mentioned women not being hoes, but the ones that intentionally go out and give another man's children to their husbands are worse than hoes. I think I can agree with that, which I just kind of said that. It's the deceit, yeah. I know women have it hard in Africa. Some men refuse to go for tests, which is true, and the women are blamed by both families and give the man a pass. Some men blatantly refuse to go for tests when a woman can't conceive, which is also wrong. You're absolutely right. And yeah, we do agree on that, because we do get a rough deal. Everything is a woman's fault. It's just the way the world is. It's just how it is. Nevo says, and Nevo is a image consultant, so you will find her details. Nevo, can you kindly post your link on here so that people can find you? She says, and the poor women not knowing and accused of being unfaithful, wicked fertility doctor. Yeah, very, very evil. I cannot imagine what those women and their families would have gone through, their children. I mean, that's just awful. I just think it's horrible. Ade says, money and status aside, there may be reasons like differences in tribe, etc., where a woman may not settle with her preferred partner. Oh, yeah, that's very, very true. Very, very common indeed. Ashanti says, my God, Iradi. For those of you that are not Ghanaian, Iradi means God. It's just an exclamation, like, oh my God, that's what it means. So let's see what else is being said here. Adi says, yeah, even adopted children. And it's true, adopted children have the right to know who their biological parents are. And so in a situation like this where, there's been so much deception, you should have the right to explore that. The other thing for me that this whole paternity thing brings up is where, like in places like America, a father, because by virtue of the fact that his name is on the birth certificate and he hasn't changed or challenged that within I think there's a 3-month period, depending on what state you're in, is legally bound to provide for that child, even if it proves that the child does not belong to him. So I will repeat that. So in some places, so in America, for example, if your name is on the birth certificate, you are classed as the legal father, irrespective of what any DNA test says. That brings up an issue for me. I mean, the idea behind it is that every child deserves to be, looked after. And therefore, where it's found that this person's name is on the birth certificate, even though they may not be the father, they still have to pay child support. It's there to support the child. I couldn't disagree more. I think it's a load of trash. I think it's absolutely reprehensible that you will force a man who is not the biological father of a child to pay child support. I think it's absolutely atrocious. And, for those of you that know me, and I'm an advocate for women's rights, I'm also an advocate for common damn sense, decency and morality. That to me is immoral. Because in a place like America, where if you don't pay child support, you can end up in prison and obviously have a criminal record. In those circumstances, I think any woman that would allow a man to go to prison because he's not paying child support for a child that categorically is not his, I think is evil. And I'm surprised that a place like America that is so civilized, cough, cough, yeah, I use the term civilized very broadly, how they can allow that to happen, I think is wrong. I think is absolutely disgusting. And I think it's wrong because if you're saying that the child is the focus and the reason why that law is in place, by crippling that man financially, because it's not all the time that they can afford to support this child that's not even theirs, what about that man having the right to start his own family? What about him having the right to support his children that he knows are his and his right to start a new family? So for me, I'm all about that balance. And I think that I cannot understand. It must have been a very, very angry woman or a crazy guy that allowed for such a law to be put in place. It makes no sense to me, but that is there. So what are your views, on that? Personally, I think it's awful. And I think that it gives the wrong impression to us women that we can take the mick to that degree and face no consequences for it. And I just personally think that is wrong. It's our right to have abortions because we say it's our bodies and what we wish to do with it is ours. That's fine. And we can have these abortions even when the men want the children. We can still have abortions because they have no say and no control. How then do you entice a man to make him feel that he's the father of your child, have him put his name on the birth certificate, it's proven that he's not the child, but you'll still take him to court for child support? I think that we should have a bit more of a conscience than that. I'm going to read a couple of comments and then I'm going to come on to the next point. Where are we going from? Sarge says, hi, beautiful. I'm really enjoying the top. Oh, thank you. I'm really glad that you guys like this because this is the first time that I am modeling, so to speak, Jackie Johnson's designs. And so it would have been bit embarrassing if you hated it. So guys, thank you. So this is what it looks like. It goes all the way round with this lovely frill. You can tie it in a bow. As I said, you can wear it with long sleeves, and then this goes on top, and it looks really lovely. As I said, you know me, I'm a little bit out there, so I decided to wear it a bit differently. And I had to kind of bring my chair up because it just looked like I was sat here with no clothes on and a collar. Some of you may enjoy that, but for me, not really a good look. So I've kind of like raised my chair. So y'all can see me properly. So thank you very much for the compliments. I'm sure Jackie will be very happy. And I will be posting Jackie's details. I'll take some pictures I usually do afterwards with the link, and Jackie Johnson's details will be there as well. There's other stuff that I will be modelling for her. She does these amazing, beautiful lace cuffs that you can wear on top of, you know, long sleeve dresses, and they look absolutely mwah. So let's get back to business. So Anita says, everybody has a fundamental right to know who their father is. Had a relative who didn't find out who fathered them until they were 70. That can't be right. You know, you're going to feel that your whole life has been a lie. Identity is very important. I am actually studying social science at the moment because I want to do some social science research into sexual violence in Africa. So I've actually gone back to uni to study that. And identity forms a huge part of society. Very, very important. So let us not downplay the impact of somebody's identity being taken from them or them having to question it. Okay? So the next comment is by Nietzsche Boo. Some children are born by rape, yes, and incest abuse. Why women may not disclose who the family is. Do you know what? That is an absolutely brilliant point, you know. That is a very, very good point. But I think that is more to do with not wanting to divulge to the child what their identity is, as opposed to a man who thinks he has fathered a child legitimately, i.e. with his wife or his partner, and that child turning out not to be his. Oh, Nana Marilyn is here. She is my adopted grandmother from the States, and she's absolutely amazing. Nana Marilyn says, hello, sweetie, a very serious subject. The dad and children have the right, so wrong of the mum. Yeah, they do have the right, and it is wrong. And I think sometimes it's even more painful when it's one child in the family, where let's say there's 3 kids, and there's one child that has been fathered by somebody else in between, so maybe the middle child or the last child, and that happens, or any child, to be honest. Diane August said, absolutely it is. But that's about taking responsibility away from the state. Girl, you got it. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So I guess whereas in England, where you have maybe, you know, back in the day where people say, oh, the people that just have kids so they can be on benefits and what have you, there wasn't that system in England. So people over here can have as many children as they like and not pay for any damn one of them. But in America, yeah, it is different, and you're absolutely spot on. It is taking the responsibility away from the state and making, they don't care who's responsible, anybody responsible. So yeah, that makes absolute sense. Kathy Smith says, yes, but very few states help women in pursuing legal child support. It happens, but it's an uphill battle. There you go. Temitope says, some women want to punish the man just because he's not taking responsibility and give the same surname as her. Imagine it evil depriving the child to know their origin, sharing the woman's own father's surname. Yeah, I mean, it's not right, and it's not right to take away a child's right to know. It's not right to take away the father's right to know. People have the right to know where they come from, and the whole deception thing is a tough one to swallow. Let me see how much time I have left. Right, 8:40. I've got about 12 minutes. Okay, so when I was thinking about this whole topic and, you know, going through, you know, the different things in my mind as to why this whole thing about, you know, women putting children on men that they know. Yeah. So, you know, we've spoken about different elements, but I'm now going to be going back to, you know, women that they know. We know that that's wrong. It's wicked. It's evil. It, you know, takes away the rights from their children to know who their fathers are, and it deprives them of their identity, yada, yada, yada. I think it should be a wake-up call for men. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by this. A lot of men seem to think, especially in certain continents, okay? a lot of men seem to think that they have a monopoly on infidelity. A lot of men still think that they are the only ones that enjoy sex, and so therefore it is abnormal for a woman to have an affair, that they have an entitlement and, a trademark to be unfaithful. A lot of men still think like that they can go and sleep around, have multiple partners, have their side chicks, their whatevers, and it's okay. My argument is this. So you're a man, and you go and find yourself a side chick. The same that your side chick has, your wife has got it as well. She too should get them. Yeah? I will translate, guys. So don't worry, I'm getting there. Yeah? The same that your wife has, or that your girlfriend has, your wife has the same thing. So the same way as you're there with your side chick and you're doing and she's enjoying, your wife too, somebody can do and she go enjoy. So why do you think that you are the only ones that enjoy sex? It's nonsense. And you see, and it's that way of thinking that has gotten some of these men into this predicament in the first place. And what I was saying that I'll translate. I'm like, if you're there with your wife, your partner, what have you, and you go and have an affair with somebody else, the same sexual organs, okay, that your girlfriend has, that when you're diving inside, she's enjoying it, is the same your wife has. Such that when someone is diving in hers, she will enjoy it too. Don't be stupid, is what I'm saying. Don't deceive yourself. Oh, no. It's women don't do that. It's men. It's a man's prerogative to have different partners. The way we're wired, we're not really supposed to just be with one woman. Well, as you're finding out with your 3 out of 10, yeah? With your 3 out of 10 children that ain't yours, clearly, you need to debunk that myth. Clearly, you need to let that one go. Because I'm telling you, what your side chick is enjoying, your main chick too is enjoying somewhere else. As you're servicing that one, she to her MOT is being checked and she's getting her certificates. It is what it is. So the bottom line for me is people needing to check their sense of morality and decency. Because we live in a society now where anything goes. You are classed as abnormal. You're classed as behind the times, archaic, whatever names are thrown at you when you stand for righteousness. When you're saying, stick with your wife, stick with your husband, concentrate and raise your family. Oh, no, that is not our way. We are Africans. This is a white man that came over to Africa and tried to impose monogamy on us, but we are Africans and we are polygamous. Let me tell you something. The only person polygamy benefits is the man. The only person polygamy really benefits is the man or the second wife who knows that the main man has a lot of money and some money is coming her way. And guarantee the second wife more times is out there doing as well. Especially if you're old and crusty and you have money. Okay? I may be making light of it, but I will tell you something about polygamy. And maybe one day I'll do a whole show on that. My personal experience or my personal observations. Hey, this is a discussion. By all means, put your comments, challenge me and tell me I'm lying. I am yet to see a family where polygamy was the order of the day and the children, after the man has died, are still a unit. And I'll tell you why they are not. And I'll tell you the reason why. You remember in the beginning, I was saying that as women, we go to where we believe we will be provided for and protected and covered. And once we have children, that need increases. And we desire that more than anything for our children. When a man dies, the family, I don't know what it, no, actually, and this is cross cultures. I'm not going to put this on Africans or Asians or whatever. This is cross cultures. Everybody wants to know what was left and what they can eat. What money was left? What assets were left? Where can they also benefit from this person's death? They're not really coming to mourn with you half the time. They want to know what is there for us in this pot. When a man who has multiple wives and a number of children, when he dies, every wife, every mother fights for the inheritance of her own children, of her own kids. She ain't fighting for wife number 2. She ain't fighting for wife number 1's kids. She's fighting for her own children. And in the midst of that fight is great confusion and division. Great confusion and division. And I have studied this thing for years, from friends of my parents who had multiple wives to my own personal friends who, came from a polygamous home. There is such discord. There is only one family that I have seen that they are very, very close-knit. Just one out of the very, 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 very many. Polygamy ultimately favors the man. There is much to be said of a man who concentrates his efforts with his wife and to raise their kids and his focus being there. There's much to be said of a man that takes that rightful position in his home. And I'm talking about male-female relationship because I only talk about subjects that I'm aware of. So I cannot speak about homosexual relationships because I don't know the dynamics. So I can only speak about what I am an authority on, and it's heterosexual relationships. So pardon me, I do not want anybody, as I always say, to feel excluded, but I cannot get on here and speak about that which I don't know. Because I don't know of any, polygamous marriage where they were of the same sex and I don't know of that. I've never seen that before. So I can only speak on what I know. And I'm saying from my experience and from what I have observed over the years, even whilst living in Ghana, I have not seen love, harmony. Let's even make it simple. Even when you're born of the same mother and the same father, look at the amount of contention, jealousy, strife, misery that goes on within the home when you're from one mother, one father. You imagine you are from different mothers, with the dad maybe having a preference for this wife and therefore this particular group of children. So the level of resentment and jealousy and everybody vying for the father's attention and affection, it gets even worse once that man dies. And now there is an issue of inheritance to talk about. Because as I said, when you think about just, being within a family where it's just one mother, one father, and all the kids being from the same parents, the amount of distrust and division and backbiting and, gosh, I've seen it. I have seen it happen multiple times, where when there's money involved, the dynamics greatly change. So I think it's a wake-up call. When all is said and done, it's a wake-up call for us as women to check our own standards and to make wise choices. I'm not being funny. If you want to sleep with multiple partners, practice safe sex, for God's sake. Practice safe sex. Be responsible. If that's your choice to live that lifestyle, be responsible. For you men, if you know you're not ready for children, wear protection. This nonsense that, I want to feel flesh. Look, we're all adults here. This show is for over 18s. Yeah? We've all heard this nonsense before, where a guy wants to have sex. I know you're clean. I know you're clean. I want to feel your flesh. Someone had this conversation with me 3 days ago, where they met somebody and the person wanted to have sex with them, but without protection. Thankfully, they didn't succumb. But, we are not completely out of control. Not everybody is a victim of Dr. Klein. Okay? Not everybody is married to Mrs. Lamptey. We also have got to start to build proper standards of operation ourselves to minimize the real victims in this, which are the children. People always say, I put my kids first, but do you? The choices and the decisions that you make means that your children aren't put first. Actually, they are an inconvenient afterthought after your fleshy pleasures have been fulfilled. We've got to start to question whether our desire for just sexual gratification should be the order or the standard that we operate at to, set our world and our reality, that so long as it feels good, because that's the reason why people are unfaithful some of the time. Some of the time. A lot of the time is all about self. When we learn to stop being so selfish, when we learn to stop thinking about what pleases us, and this is what our society has become. We fail to tell people the truth. We fail to be honest. We want to be politically correct at every given juncture. When people are doing something wrong, we don't want to say it. When people even when people's appearance looks off-key, we don't want to say it. We lie so much nowadays. We lie about everything. We lie so much. Oh, if it's not hurting anybody, let them do it. But it is hurting somebody. And, and let me go off on a bit of a tangent at the moment. When you look at what's happening in America today, and people up in arms about Donald Trump and some of his supporters being upset, don't be upset. You nurtured that beast for 4 years. You supported somebody making statements, divisive statements, for 4 years. You can't now say, I don't want the beast anymore. You helped create it. And the beast in our society is not having any sense, or a very low sense of morality, such that there are no standards. Anything goes. Anything goes. And woe betide the man or the woman that will stand up for morality and say, this is not right, or this is ungodly, or this is immoral. Because, hey, we're in 2021. Anything goes. Well, you know what? This is the product of our anything goes. We must begin to take responsibility for the homes that we are creating and the children that we are bringing into it. Men, stick to your wives. Keep your dicks in your pants and stick to your wives. Raise your children with your wives. Raise your children and instill value, love, and sense of morality in your kids, so that they will grow up to be well balanced emotionally and mentally, and be great contributors to the society in which you have brought them. Women, if you know that you're with a man that you don't want to be with and you will never be faithful to, for whatever reason, get out and respect yourself. Because lies beget lies, beget lies, and it doesn't stop. But if we don't begin to have some standards of what is moral and what is right, we will continue to have these conversations with no solution. And at some point, somebody has to take responsibility, and somebody has to care for these children that we make. Sometimes not even, I was going to say, an hour's pleasure. Some of you men can't last 10 minutes, and yet you're still producing children with your whack game. Yeah, I said it. You're not even giving the woman any decent pleasure. So let's be honest about what it is that we desire, what it is that we want. Let's put our kids first. Let's stand for family. Let's do the right thing. And let's try and change our world little by little. And changing our world little by little really will start with how effective we are in the decisions that we make concerning our families. Guys, thank you very much. As usual, you're an amazing audience. I don't know if any of you have been sharing this show. I'd be very grateful if you did. Now, the issue with Facebook, I'm going to say this really quickly because it is 9 o'clock. The issue with Facebook is I cannot invite people to watch the broadcast as I normally do. So what I'm going to be doing is telling you in advance what the next show topic is going to be. However, it may be subject to change if something really interesting, happens, or something very important or whatever, comes up during the week. So I want to thank you for watching. I'm going to try and read a couple more comments because I did get on here a bit late because of my whatever's going on. So Alison says it's very, very wrong, especially where they have not paid child support and being sentenced. Yeah, it's not fair on these men. I think that's awful. I think it is wrong. Abigail says wrong. I know my mother at the age of 24. Wow. Andrew Callum, lovely to have you on here. Such a gentleman. He said, oops. He says it's typical of USA where fundamentally everything involves lawyers. Naturally challenging a birth certificate is costly in court. Yeah, it can be. And he says the law presumably only applies when the couple isn't together. I guess many dads will have bonded to an extent and may still see the child as their. Absolutely. And that's another thing that, I think is very painful, where these men do love these children because as far as they're concerned, they're theirs. And I know sometimes people will make judgments to say, well, they're still yours, you should still this. I think people need to back off. There's some things that make perfect sense in theory, okay? In practice, it's not so easy. And I think we need to cut some men some slack if they find themselves in that situation. Jackie Johnson is in the house. Jackie says, I know of and Jackie is the one who designed this, and I've spoken a lot about this lovely collar. I know of a situation where the mother refused to put the name of the biological father on the birth certificate because of differences, and also because she had met a new guy. She didn't disclose it to her son until he was a man and needed a stem cell transplant. Wow. Imagine his shock. Anyway, he found his biological father and got him to donate and save his son's life and went on to establish a relationship. You know what, Jackie, I think you just killed the argument right there. You see why secrets are bad? Secrets are not good, Kathy said, that was me. I'm an only child with 3 siblings. And I think this is where Kathy Schmid was sharing that she only found out, not too long ago that the father she thought was her father wasn't hers. And she's just responding saying, when I was talking about sometimes you may be that one child in the family who doesn't belong to the man that you think is your dad. She's saying, yes, I was that child because I have 3 siblings. So I was the odd one out kind of thing is what Kathy's saying. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, I know why you guys are laughing. Look, you got to inject some humor into this because it's pretty heavy stuff, So, guys, let me see the time. I think I'm giving you back the few minutes that I was on here late. So you're getting your hour, yeah? Don't shoot me. You'll get your hour. So please, as I was saying before, if I haven't read out your comment, I do apologize. Guys, those of you who are on here, still continue to read the comments and let's keep that conversation going. Let's start to change our world bit by bit. So if you can share this broadcast and let's kind of get some of these conversations out there a little bit more, because by having these conversations is how we're going to be making, different changes to our world, so to speak. So next week's show, what is next week's show going to be about? If I don't get at least 20 thumbs up, I'm not going to tell you what next week's show is about. So let me see some thumbs up, let me see some hearts, and I will tell you what next week's show is about. So that means where's the thumbs up? Ashanti, I love that. She says, changing the narrative one show at a time. Absolutely. Guys, where are my hearts? If you've enjoyed the show, show me some love before I log off. I'm going to be going in a couple of minutes. Andrew says, honesty is the best approach, but definitely you would love the child regardless. Yes, I believe you would. Hi, Beverly, how are you doing? Evening, lovely evening. Sapak, thank you so much. Thanks, an important convo. Thank you, Nadia Abood, who I have known since I was 18. And she's beautiful. All my friends are beautiful. Dolores, thank you very much. I haven't seen that name on here before, so if this is your first time, I welcome you. Thank you. Wonderful. Bamidele, Elizabeth Williams, Nevo. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. So before I go, next week's show, I haven't named it yet. Yes, I have actually. I have named next week's show. What have I named next week's show? Hold on. It's going to come to me. Because it was a toss-up between that and this. And next week's show is basically about, it's named Deeper Life, Deeply Vile. Deeper Life, Deeply Vile. There is a boarding school in Nigeria. It's an actual church called Deeper Life. There is a case of a young boy who was sexually abused by other students, and I think by some teachers. I'm still doing my research on this one. I'm going to be talking about what really happens in boarding schools. Okay? What really goes on in boarding schools and our hypocrisy around homosexuality. That is the show next week. So Deeper Life, Deeply Vile. That's what we're going to be speaking about. If anything happens in between that I think would make for an even more interesting conversation, or the timing of it needs to whatever, then that might happen. So Deeper Life, Deeply Vile, same time next week, 8 o'clock. You have been an amazing audience, and I'm so blessed to see more of you coming on here. I think it's really encouraging. I'm encouraged, especially now that, you know, Facebook have changed so much, and it's very difficult to actually get the information out there that there is actually a show going on. So thank you for sharing your evening with me. Thank you, Jackie Johnson, whose details, as I said, is going to be put with the pictures that I will share afterwards, so that you can order this beautiful colour. So this is it. As I said, I've decided. Let me stand back a bit. Hold on. You know, you see, lockdown life, yeah, everybody's put on so much weight that it's great for us that we can do these shows on Zoom and sit down, because you can't see how fat we've gotten. I have put on a lot of weight. I am going to be doing a detox. So the next time I stand up, I'm going to be like really, really, you know, slim. So this is how I've decided to wear it. I've just got a boob tube on, and I've got some leggings. Oops, I think my earring's fallen out. I've got some leggings on. That's just how I've decided to wear it. But yeah, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. This is the colour, you know, it looks lovely. Yes, here's a close-up, just so you can see the detail. Yes, you can't see down my top, so behave. So that's what it is. So guys, let me sit back down. And that's the end of the show. So guys, do share and share and share and share. And love you all. And I shall see you same time next week, 8 p.m. on Speak With Dilys. God bless. Bye.